quick homework for Christina and some I'm John Deming. I'm host with Selena Spear and Grace Gresham. And I'm very excited to introduce our next poet, āẽyhh Ryan. āẽyhh Ryan has an indelible sense for the line as musical phrase, as moments of real psychological need, and as expression of possibility, even if just expressing things as they are. In the great sweep of global chaos, āẽyhh is able to take us back to the individual human experience, the major needs of the seemingly minor people who aggregate as the whole of humanity. Belief, as he writes in one line, persists in shapes and senses. āẽyhh's poems do the brave work of forging strength from love. I call this brave because obviously love falls in line more easily with protection and preservation, so potentially fear. His accomplishments include work as a filmmaker, a publisher, a multi-genre writer, and yet all of it feels like part of the same sweeping and humane project, the result of an important and enduring vision meant to include us all. āẽyh's extensive nonfiction credits include memoir, travel writing, arts, criticism, profiles, and narrative journalism and outlets including Public Books, Humanities to Millions, Annual, Colorado Review, Adroit Journal, CNN, long reads as an editor's pick in Traffic East, where he's a senior editor. Fiction and poetry have appeared in the Xavier Review, Sixth Street, and other journals. Poems are anthologized in Siloed City Reading Series, 10 Years of Poems in Grain Silos, edited by Noah Fall, and Best Poets 2019, edited by KGB alum Kate Marvin. Alongside his own writing, āẽyhh is a co-founder and publisher of Foundlings Press, which has produced books, chapbooks, anthologies, broadside and archival works by new and established authors like Forrest Sanders, C.D. Wright, D.A. Powell, Mary Ruefle, Frank Stanford, and many others. Here is āẽyhh Ryan.
Thank you so much. I'll try to live up to all that. So when John, also I want to thank my good friend Ata Moharreri, who made the connection that brought me here tonight. When John first extended the invitation, I warned him that I had not been working on poetry for a very long time. I was occupied for the last 5 or so years working on a book of nonfiction, which is going to be out in just a couple of weeks. So I asked him if it would be okay to come before this poetry audience and read some nonfiction, and he said it would be okay. So I will read from this book a little bit later. It's called "I Am Here, You Are Not, I Love You." But as the event grew closer, I thought that would be really bad form, and so I decided I would in fact attempt some poetry. So Rochelle, my wife, couldn't be here tonight, but when I was talking about the reading, she insisted that I read a very old poem from 2019, and I wondered why for a minute, and then I realized it was a poem about her. So that explained that. And then I thought, okay, if she can't be here, I'll just read a couple poems about Rochelle, and then I'll get into the book. This is called "That's Not the Way It Feels." I didn't see it so much as feel the cold when you put out all the watchfires in your gestures. But I did see you hadn't watched a single one of my stories since the morning before I left you. And is that petty? It's Borderline by Madonna. And I don't notice it despite the quietly brutal B minor of the pre-chorus, because I'm looking for an outlet and thinking about how the Heathrow HVAC reminds me of your breath. The way it cuts over the all-season hush of the vents in my apartment. I only hear it when Madonna's icy voice says, "Something in your eyes is making such a fool of me." And I Shazam it and wonder whether my memories are more or less yours. And I don't feel distant from you, but I do notice the heartbeats, interstices, in turbulence, and want to be rocked either to blister and ash somewhere over Newfoundland and Labrador, or to sleep in the basket that you make with your limbs. I don't feel distant from you, but I do wonder what we said last week, when we made an empty bench into a private Ithaca and were a family there. And how did we come to this performance, sending push notifications like ferocious air kisses starting trash fires in each other's wish lists, and hurt curating mixtapes across the galaxy of our friend activity. Like, if you want me, let me know. And I want you to see that I'm listening to Jim Croce's Operator again, and know that I am asking Alexa to call you, as if one day she might be able to understand your name, like a magic 8 Balls blue dye suddenly opening a new face up to the murky window and reassuring me that regular, healthy people sometimes drink alone, but probably never sweet vermouth. And I want you. Does anybody yearn anymore? Do you feel yearned? I yearn you to retweet the scared anger out of me, like a snake bite, suck and expectorate the venom back into your stupid snake-stepping-on lover's pallid, twitching face, but that's not the way it feels. I ask you if every poem begins with feeling. You think I mean received, but I mean choice. You tell me every poem starts off as a comeback. You mean retort. I thought you meant return. The podcast between us says that human saliva contains a painkiller, opioorphin, 6 times more powerful than morphine. All my poems end up shitty podcasts. Let me tell you a true story about tomorrow, when we were apex consumers in the supermarket olive bar, making a language out of tapenade and artichokes, and being broke and brokenness, and fluency was morning after showering, when you would press your skincare to my skincare, and our borderlines were arbitrary lip lines, like a talweg, is a word I learned from dictionary, waiting to see your curls in bulk and imports. It is the ever-changing and locationless exact middle of a waterway between 2 states. I lose your touch like a territory, everybody's fault, a feeling there is nothing on the outside of my nothing. I am wave-tossed away from you, across the room or further, and the only coming back is a half measure toward the middle of whatever home is knowing I could tell you, without the Scotch shame of mutual incomprehension, that whenever Madonna's Borderline comes on a speaker in any ceiling anywhere, I'll forever bring your hands to the bruised face in my mind's intercontinental morning darkness, where the seatback screens reveal us to be chasing, even gaining on the sun, like a cat's flashlight, or like the will to sadness. And I know that knowing isn't knowing, but a trust in crumbling memories. Under the light, I read about a love that's proved by steady gazing, not at each other, but in the same direction. Then every passenger must be loved, even in airplane mode. I believe in love as an alternative to knowing, and I wonder if you're lying on your right side or your left, as you let yourself be chased and caught by the star sign that I'm chasing. So I wonder if you know that in the pocket of your elbows and your knees, I am there, that I am one thing, and it is yours. As I said, that's a pretty old poem, probably 6 or so years old. Feels a little dated now, but these next 2 are really quite new. Once I tried to finish in time for this, so forgive me. This is called Your Blue Light. Stilled like a rabbit in the lawn lights, furred heartbeat, each new bust, only more of me, come alive. Another chore turned to story, storm glass in the attic, 2 rakes against the fence. We've been spring cleaning ever since the first time you came in and rearranged my furniture. Next was ceiling paint, bookshelf organized friend by friend. I dissolve inside your inquiry, turn it cloudy with attempts to discover, disclothe. How voice breaks to make room for more of it, molten, swept away. Where light lands on a cat's tongue, pink into rainbows. Waking again, I make you out in color. The familiar affair, your blue light. You say you were only waiting, making time, but I think you're bluffing, my kind of liar. Hum my changing name again. Same old sounds. Tell me all the night's drafts, rearranged. uncover all the light, all your waiting. This is the last poem I'll read before I get into this book. Saturday morning, when you begged for coffee, then begged me to stay, which meant no coffee, I thought, this will last as long as this will last. Days into the fight and carrying my body around like a common cold, hoping eventually you'll catch it. When it's good again, blue jay racket, each cat eavesdropping from a sun plot, I think, this will last as long as this will last. If you were to ask, I mean right now, I'd tell you, I hope to die a timely death, another door opening, unsudden as Christmas. All right, bit of a change of pace. So this book I mentioned, I Am Here, You Are Not, I Love You. John kindly mentioned that I also attempted to make a film, which has the same name. This is a biography of two visual artists who happened to be my late aunt and uncle. Their names were Andrew Topolsky and Cindy Suffoletto. Andy passed away in 2008 and Cindy in 2012. I wrote this book about them, but it's also about the movements that they passed through and helped to shape. They were part of this extraordinary avant-garde that came out of nowhere in Buffalo, New York in 1962, when everybody who was anybody was there or spending a lot of time there, from Charles Olson and Robert Creeley to Lucille Clifton, Ishmael Reed, Merce Cunningham, Marcel Duchamp, Jacques Derrida, the Vasalkas, literally everybody. And then it sort of fell apart in 1982. And so I looked at their group of people, the people around them, their generation. Some of the most famous to actually emerge from that scene were the artists Cindy Sherman and Robert Longo, who moved to New York, and then a lot of their contemporaries followed them. So I looked at my late aunt and uncle as a way of exploring that whole generation, that movement, what happened, why, the economics of it. And then my own story is sort of woven through as somebody who came into this world of art and artists in their wake and in their absence. So I'm just going to read a very short section of this. It's the prologue. It's not really beginning at the beginning. It's beginning at the end of their lives. Selves portrait. She lets him help her move the armchair from its spot against the pale plaster wall. Really, Cindy does the lifting, tugging, stutter-stepping to clear a space. Opposite, the upholstery sags, straining beneath his fingers. When she moves to lift the framed drawing from the wall, then inch out the nail that held it, he rests, laying his palms flat against the chair's faded arms. Still and splayed like this, his hands look white, like enormous summer moths. 4 months ago, Andy had been built like a laborer, eating well and breathing mountain air, putting in shifts at his studio beside their home in Callicoon, a hamlet tucked in the Catskills. He lifted bricks and stones for sculptures, practiced joinery with heavy beams meant for dining sets that friends and neighbors had commissioned. But now, back in the city for appointments with specialists, stairs dizzy him. Elevators give him vertigo. Small talk leaves him breathless. Budweiser still sits well, but even simple foods, favorite foods, can make him nauseous. Cindy manages. She manages the double-mortgaged house in Callicoon, the dark, rented apartment on Withers Street in North Williamsburg. She manages the correspondence, friends checking in galleries from Buffalo to Basel inquiring. And she manages the hospitals. With weathered eyes and wiry hair from her own second round of chemo completed in the fall, Cindy knows the hospitals, knows the right people at Herbert Irving and Weill Cornell and Columbia. She knows all the sallow hallways, the exits and the dead ends. For 20 years, Cindy has managed for the both of them. She has managed Andy and Andy's career, the recognition received for his beautiful, precise, complicated, recognize-it-anywhere art. She took pride in it until, one day, pride was an indulgence that exhaustion wouldn't afford her. And now this. Now Andy needs her more than ever, and in new, rewardless ways. They are alone in love and knowledge of each other. Cindy manages because she must, for the both of them. But with them, it has never been just about surviving. They learn to be alone together first inside ideas. The purple t-shirt hangs loosely from Andy's shoulders. His shrinking body is a factory of bones, new protuberances emerging from him every day. His own unfamiliarity makes the shirt difficult to remove. Cindy steps to him, her small hands finding the hem hanging blousily where his stomach used to be. He looks away as she lifts, letting his arms drop and loping to the tripod as soon as he's free. He fiddles with the camera, an old Polaroid, the same one that has been with him all these years. Funny. He earned his MFA in photography and came up in the world with a group the critics called the Pictures Generation. He had been a leader among them, the far-out one, the star to catch, once. But when the coffee table books were finally written, Andy was relegated to the appendix. The reason was simple. Andy stopped making pictures. For a period of years, he stopped making art altogether. But now pictures are all he can talk about. The surface, Andy says, speaking to himself, staring through the viewfinder to the open wall. A loaded gun. When he sways, it feels like the room moves with him. She thinks he's paler than the walls. Under the brutal shop lamp, his bruises glow like bar signs. Outside, snow falls and music fills the street when a car door opens. No One, Alicia Keys, one of the first hits of the new year. Cindy starts to hum along, but as soon as she begins, the song is gone. A little more, Andy says, his rumble now a rasp. Cindy tugs the chair another inch, then straightens up. Still bare from the hips, holding his waistband with one hooked hand, he shuffles into the light. Cindy sees it now, where the blank wall ends and the canvas begins. When he turns, he doesn't look into the camera. He looks to her. Their eyes shine like a river in the moonlight. Wait, he says, straightens his body to the camera. It is a minor struggle even to lift his own chin, to face, in a way, his own gaze. The cheeks behind his beard slacken, eyes go hard. Maybe this is it. The voice, his or hers, is lost inside the click. Thanks, everybody. I will say quickly, I'm very grateful for everybody for permitting me to read prose at this event. If you wanted to hear more, the official launch is in just a couple weeks, and I'll be reading from this book at Unnameable Books in Brooklyn on May 17th. So maybe I'll see some of you there.